All right, my friends, welcome to episode 323 of Prof and Dev Play Games, and fuck the rest of the intro. What a week. Oh my god, we had the biggest acquisition ever?
Yeah, ever in video games. And that was a thing to wake up to on Tuesday.
Holy
like,
shit.
Could be any other day, but that's what we woke up to. Tuesday, Microsoft setting out intent to buy Activision Blizzard for nearly $70 billion.
I saw that in our Discord that morning, and I thought, this has got to be a joke.
I saw it on Twitter. Like, I hadn't checked our Discord. I saw it on Twitter because I was laying in bed, and I was just checking there, and no, not even on Twitter. It was work Slack. Someone linked it, and it had just gone up shortly before. And it was just one of those things you're like, what? No. This is fake, right? Like, this, no. Nope, not fake. This is a real thing. It's just a big play for video game in the video game industry. This is Titanic in scale.
Megaton. Wow. Like, Bethesda, I forget exactly how much that was, 12 billion, or no, that was Zynga. Whatever Bethesda was felt huge, and this is seismic compared to that.
I think Bethesda was like 8 billion total, maybe less. Or was it 12? I looked at one point because the general thing with buyouts is like you can take like the market cap, multiply by 10. That's usually what the buyout price is.
Okay.
Tends to be that works out well. Or not market cap. You take yearly revenue multiplied by 10. So the expectation being you make back your buyout money over a decade. Mm-hmm. And if you take that metric, then Microsoft actually gets a really good deal on Activision. They make a lot of money a year. Like, I had to look it up. It was something like $12 to $16 billion a year in revenue.
Even now, even with WoW on the decline.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
so like, I was like, okay, by that metric, they either overpaid for Bethesda or they're getting a huge deal on Activision Blizzard. So
right. I like in my own headcanon. It is, and this is not true. It is Phil Spencer saying, how much money do I have to spend to fire Bobby Kotick? Oh man.
No.
The rumors really quickly after were like, he's staying on. It's like, that's not possible. And then quickly again, it was like, no, he just through the transition.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense.
Totally. It's not closed yet, so why? Yeah,
no.
You can't do anything about that.
Which actually should say, like, the facts of it are, the plan is to buy it at $95 a share, quite the premium on its current price, but still lower than it's been for probably when all this stuff started. So I think it was over 100 at one point. For a total of $68.7 billion. But the close isn't expected until Q1 of 2023.
Right.
And that could be even later. Like, it should be 12 to 18 months to close on this. US isn't going to give a damn. Like, none of our regulars are going to give a shit that this is happening. But there's a lot of questions of how easy this is going to get through the EU and be approved.
Right.
For monopolistic ways. Because Microsoft is not just buying Activision Blizzard. They bought a lot of companies over the past few years. A lot of companies. Right. Very quietly most of the time. So there's a point where it's
rolling downhill.
They really are. But you look at them and they have a market cap of $2.3 trillion. Apple has a market cap of $2.6 trillion. Amazon is $1.5 trillion.
I thought Apple had crossed 3 trillion in the past couple of weeks.
They might have. When I checked earlier today, their market cap was 2. So their stock. I did not check their stock price, like its trend. If it had trended up higher, many months ago, then they probably had crossed 3 trillion at one point. But they're not there right now. So,
got it.
Microsoft and Apple are very close, a lot closer than I was expecting, and Amazon is actually pretty far behind those two. But that also gives a scale of like, oh, they're worth that much money. them dropping $70 billion to buy Activision Blizzard, while not insignificant, isn't that much for them.
Right.
Like,
well, and what they're getting back for that, all the IP.
Yeah,
plus, plus King, right? plus Call of
plus
Duty.
King.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and this is absolutely insane that this is happening. And I personally don't believe that this only started when the lawsuits with Activision Blizzard started.
You think this has been going on for a while?
Yeah, acquisitions of this scale. If I take my example of being at PopCap when EA was buying, these aren't fast. Like, there's so much legal stuff you have to go through, and just once the ball starts rolling, there is so much documents you have to get together for this that at minimum, I feel like this has to have started 6 months ago, which was before that lawsuit stuff came out. Like, at some point before all that, Microsoft was already poking them about doing this.
Yeah, I bet when they were going after Bethesda, they were, saying how much would it cost, and they're like X, which is probably way too much. And then once the lawsuit shit happened, like, oh, the price just came down.
Yeah, and if the rumors are true, Kotick didn't want to sell. He wasn't. He was trying to, like, they put the offer in, and he was then like, no, I want to go look to see if there's other bids, and there's no one else bidding. And he was like, I don't want to sell. But at that point, the rumors are the board was like, no, we want to drop this dumpster fire. We want to get paid and leave.
It's just like a nice solution for them, even though I hate that board too. They're like, I can make a bunch of money and be rid of this fucking nightmare. Awesome. Yep. But Kotick has, money, but what else,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Kotick. He's a person that's always cared about image.
Right.
And this isn't the greatest image for him or Activision Blizzard overall. Like, it doesn't solve the problem. They're being sold at a time when their stock is way down. They have all these lawsuits against them that aren't going away when it sells. He's clearly being ousted. Like, he's going away. Like, he can play it off however he wants, but to make this deal happen, he doesn't get to stay with the company.
Right. Well, and he doesn't get to, like, go through a couple years of lawsuits to prove, come out on top, or to win, or to punish everyone who's going against him. Like, his runway is gone, which is delicious.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to say there of the ethical implications of this can just happen. And all these people are going to get paid a ton of money, but
it's awful because what punishment is Bobby Kotick getting for all the bullshit?
$400 billion.
Yeah, nothing. He's getting money, a shit ton of money.
Which he already had a shit ton of money to begin with, so that's why there's less of my inclination that money probably isn't the most important thing to him anymore, because he hasn't had to worry about money probably in the last 20 years or more.
Right.
Like, so it's cool. I have even more money to build another yacht, or a yacht for my yacht. I don't know.
Whatever rich people do with their money. Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, that's why I kind of feel like there's a ding on reputation for this,
right?
Or like there's the stain on his legacy with the company that's never going to go away now. Like, and I'm sure he'll show up on boards of other companies and stuff. But my thought is that he's not going to start another company. He's 60, I think, or going to be turning 60 this year. So I feel like he'll just peace out more than anything.
Yacht off into the sunset.
Yep. Go spend his money acquiring random crap. I don't know. Yeah. Buy some NFTs.
Oh my fucking Christ. Yeah. So, Bethesda took a while to close, but it wasn't as long as 18 months. But this has much larger implications, so I assume that's why it would take even longer.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger thing. The scale is just so much more, and having to deal with international bodies as well, not just U.S. regulators.
Right.
Is gonna. I think it's just gonna have. It just draws the whole process out longer. I'm trying to see how much Microsoft did pay for Bethesda.
I mean, it's less than 12.
7.5 billion.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds right. Because Zynga was 12, and that was the biggest ever until fucking a week later.
This, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, this is just huge. Like, think of it. Like, early next year, if everything goes through fine, Microsoft owns every Blizzard IP. Microsoft runs crazy. World of Warcraft. Microsoft is making Diablo.
Oh my god. What the fuck? I wonder.
How did we end here? Like, what weird timeline have we gone through that this stuff created, IPs created back in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s, has now meandered its way through multiple acquisitions and stuff to finally end at Microsoft. It's crazy to me that that's where we're at.
I wonder, given Microsoft's penchant for contractors working on Halo and other things, what the workforce for Activision Blizzard, what kind of changes is that going to go through, do you think?
Anytime there's an acquisition, I feel like there's going to be a percentage of that workforce that's just laid off straight up due to redundancies. They don't need to be there anymore.
Right.
Why do you need multiple marketing departments?
Right.
Full marketing departments. I'm sure Blizzard and the actors and studios need marketing people, but they don't need everything because Microsoft already has a whole bunch of that.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
There's a lot of the I would say the peripheral pieces to the actual game making that just go away most likely.
Like the
and just over
logistics.
a couple yeah, in some ways, like they start working on that, on like integrating that into Microsoft's like Azure and things like that.
Right.
And the Microsoft ecosystem of cloud and everything. Like there's just a lot of things where it's like over a couple years after the acquisition closes, there'll be layoffs, though people will just be gone. Because they don't need to be, like, unfortunately, they won't be needed and made redundant.
Yep.
That's what happens with these things. Now, game teams, I don't know. If Microsoft is smart, they'll go through and evaluate everything that's being made right now, announced and unannounced, and decide what to keep and what to kill.
Overwatch 2, maybe not.
That's probably far enough along. Although that could be sunk cost fallacy talking there.
Exactly.
Probably still comes out because they've already shown and announced everything for it.
Yeah, I just still am not convinced that it adds anything over Overwatch.
Probably not. I mean, they might ask them, like, can you reevaluate this? Does it need to be a sequel? Can this just be rolled into Overwatch itself? And anyone who owns Overwatch just gets this and continues on.
Well, especially if you're not selling it, it's part of Game Pass.
Exactly. Like, there's a different way that they can go ahead and market that if they want to going forward. Same goes with Game Pass. If you have a Game Pass subscription, do you just get WoW included in that?
Oh shit!
Why not?
Subscription
right?
base. I never thought of that. Yeah, right.
Or do you pay $5 more or a couple bucks more on your Game Pass subscription, and you get the MMO subscription, which gets you Elder Scrolls Online and WoW at the same time.
Oh, that seems logical.
I mean, I feel like it's probably happening. They're going to do something in some way where you can just use your Game Pass subscription to either play those games for free or pay a couple of bucks extra to get the MMOs. So, Battle.net is going to go through Microsoft now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how long before those accounts merge? So,
right.
Which will be part of your Skype account and the whole thing too. So there's a lot there that is insane from this purchase.
Well, I keep thinking of Sony. Sony doesn't have Call of Duty moving forward, or
they probably do. I mean, Microsoft. What Spencer came out and was like, "Oh, we're still gonna make good on our commitments, like Activision's commitments to other platforms." But in the end, what does it hurt to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Like, people can go and buy it for $70 if they want to.
Yep.
Or they can get a Game Pass subscription and play it there. Like, Microsoft wins either way. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is like, oh, are we selling hardware? But in a kind of weird way, I don't know how much Microsoft cares about the hardware anymore. Like,
not if they have it on PC. Everyone already has hardware.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. Like, these big Sony and Microsoft, for people that don't know, it's a known thing for the past many decades. They sell their hardware at a loss. The hardware is not what makes them money. It's game sales that make them money, and now Game Pass that makes Microsoft money. So the hardware becomes less important. Where they want to be getting money from is just games. So play it where you want to play it. Now, the thing is, will Game Pass will they start trying to get Game Pass stuff onto Sony? And
I don't know why Sony would want to do that.
They probably wouldn't, but
yeah.
But maybe they do if Game Pass is big enough and a portion of that subscription goes to Sony whenever you're playing on a PlayStation console.
But then those third-party games are not being bought on Sony, so they're missing out that 30% cut, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a calculation though. That's only a thing if Game Pass gets big enough. And I don't know. I don't know how big it is right now. I'm sure they have said that publicly somewhere, but I haven't looked into that. But yeah, I don't think this is a direct competition to Sony and completely, because I don't know how much Microsoft straight up views Sony as competition to Game Pass at this point, because Sony doesn't have a competitor to Game Pass.
Yeah, they're not. The only competition Microsoft sees from Sony is their first-party games, and Nintendo is the competition in that regard. Yeah, they don't see that. Like, they have a fuck ton of games now. Like, they used to not. Now they all of a sudden do.
But for them,
I don't see it as competition.
Yeah, I don't, not anymore. Like, just doesn't seem like Sony is directly competing against what Microsoft is trying to do now.
Exactly.
Which isn't a console war anymore at all.
Right.
Because it doesn't even feel like Microsoft is trying to compete on the console side of things completely anymore. They're like, sure, whatever, we make a console. Just buy our games, play Game Pass, or just subscribe to Game Pass. Like, we don't care if you own the console or not.
No, I feel like for the next generation, even the console would be less important just because of the PC space.
Yeah.
But it's what was I going to say? I forgot. Oh well. It was a good point too. I'll remember it.
For Sony's sake, I think they should probably just be worried of more acquisitions happening.
Right, because fewer games coming onto their platform, or they're short money for theirs.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially less games coming. Like, the thing is, Microsoft is spending nearly $70 billion on this. They could pretty much buy everything else in the outside of Tencent in the video game industry without blinking.
Right.
Ubisoft makes like $5 billion a year or less. Or no, their market cap is $5 billion or something like that. They could straight up buy Square. They could buy any of the Japanese companies outside of
they were always
Nintendo.
Talking about Sega. The rumors were.
So yeah, Sammy Sega. I wonder what their market cap is now. Sega Sammy, I should say.
Sony's great.
Their market cap is $3.9 billion. Like, that's pocket change to Microsoft if they wanted it. So.
Yeah, I mean, Sony's. What Sony has is the same thing Nintendo has. Like, blockbuster IPs, you cannot get anywhere else. So, but that's not even true, because Sony's starting to put them on PC.
Yep.
Because they've also realized, we're selling those consoles at a loss. Let's put this shit on PC. So.
Yeah. Let's double dip a bit. Let's potentially make people excited for those upcoming sequels that they won't get on PC for a few years. I've seen a few tweets going around, pictures of tweets that are like, wow, God of War is really good. Count me in. When Ragnarok comes out, I'm going to buy a PS5 to play it day one. Totally. I'm like, Sony did it. That's what they were hoping.
That's That's their advertisement. Yeah, you like this? Come over and get this.
Yeah, look at what you can get with us.
Dude, that tweet of Shuhei playing God of War on a Steam Deck is fucking awesome.
Yeah?
Oh, it makes me want my Steam Deck real bad.
Yeah. I do think of buyouts. I think Ubisoft is probably up next in some way. Like, they're going through whole hells of same lawsuit crap. That I just feel like they're primed for someone to swoop in and do something similar, of being like, no, let's just get out before this just collapses everything.
Well, and they have a ton of like compelling IPs.
They do,
and a fucking embattled CEO that I don't see passing it off to anyone else.
Yeah,
it's a family business, of course, but I just can't see. I agree. I think in the next couple of years, Ubisoft is sold as well. Although they worked like hell to stave off Vivendi, so maybe that's just in their DNA to like be independent or whatever.
It's true. It's true. Everyone's talking that Sony would consider going after Square, which they could. They already own a chunk of Square, so. But I don't know if Square really wants to sell. Square's pretty happy where they are. But I think there's a lot of speculation around that. But
yep, it's the only logical thing.
I'm dubious that Square would want to sell. Like, they're kind of doing gangbusters right now as a business. So
yeah, like
they're popping off on
them.
everywhere with that. So
what is it? 2 more days till the pack goes back on sale. The starter kit.
Yep. 14 goes on sale on the 25th. Well, I don't even know if that's 25th PST or 25th Japan time. So it might be the 24th here. I don't know.
Right.
But either way, within the next 48 hours, Final Fantasy 14 goes back on sale. So that's happening. They're opening the Oceanic data center at the same time.
Right.
They have Final Fantasy 16 within the next 18 months, most likely.
Forspoken coming out in May.
Forspoken. They have all the Pixel remasters that are doing great. It's the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy as a franchise. They just passed the 35th anniversary of Dragon Quest. They have a huge back catalog that they seem like they're digging into now and bringing back to like Switch and just modern places to play. Like, they realize, if we put these games out that are beloved by people, they will buy them again and make us lots of money.
Don't have to sink a ton more into development. We already have it developed.
Kind of, yeah. Just get it running on modern hardware.
Yep.
So I think it would be hard pressed to get them to sell unless you're just like offering them an insane amount of money. And I don't think anyone necessarily would straight up do that right now.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm still kind of reeling by the Activision Blizzard just being bought in that whole thing.
Well, just like a conglomeration of this huge entity in the gaming space and what impact does that have on indies? In terms of you've been talking in Discord about how, as Game Pass grows, the thought of having to change the way you develop a game to kind of appeal to a Game Pass audience.
I mean, historically, yeah, you can look at. I just take that as historical context. I'm trying to think. Go back before there was really a lot of free-to-play games.
Mm-hmm.
Free-to-play becomes a thing that you can start doing. Look at how games change to meet that. You start getting free-to-play. You start getting MTX. General just DLC. I mean, people laugh about Horse Arbor from forever ago, but look at where we are now. It's expected that games have DLC. And those are things that you have to design for and create. Like, when you set out to make a game, you're like, okay, how does this sustain now?
Right.
It's rare that you're just like, I just put out a game and hopefully it does well. One and done. Because people expect, actual consumers expect your game to be updated and get new content. And if it doesn't, it might make a splash when it arrives, but then no one talks about it anymore. And so you have to design around that. You have to design around the platforms you're on. So like take Steam. Steam is great. Like when they started doing refunds, what is it? 2 hours. You can refund any game you play less than 2 hours.
Yeah. Right.
You design to get people to play more than 2 hours.
Right.
Like
so
you think about
refunding.
that. That is in your head when you're thinking of making the game and structuring it and pacing it and being like, okay, how do we make this so that it keeps people engaged for past that 2 hour mark so they can't refund it? Or make our game, or the game needs to be longer than 2 hours. Right. What if I can beat a game? Exactly. What if I can beat a game in 2 hours? Less than 2 hours.
Yep. And it's totally refunded.
And so that is a change in design mindset you have to go into. And now you're talking about Game Pass, which is a subscription. And how do you get paid in that? By people viewing your game.
Right.
It's and actually just playing it for time playing it. That's the metric Microsoft uses. Eyes on it, the whole thing. So you design games that aren't these shorter experiences anymore. You want them to be expansive. You want them to let players spend infinite amounts of time in them. It changes the type of games people generally see, and maybe you like those one-off, very story-driven games, and those become fewer and farther between.
Yep.
And that's just how it works. Like the product has to shift to how it's being sold and how you make money off of it. It's terrifying for Game Pass and for indies and being like, okay, do I have to be on Game Pass in the future? If I'm not on Game Pass, am I just cutting out a huge chunk of potential revenue? And if I'm on Game Pass, what do I have? Yeah, eyes. What do I have to do if I need to be on Game Pass? How does my game have to change to be successful there? And can that be successful on Steam as well, or not?
Eventually, it's like the whole gatekeeper, right? Microsoft says we don't want you on Game Pass, and you're like, oh, then no one's gonna play my game.
Yeah, I mean that's been that way on mobile for a long time. Apple doesn't want your game. Sorry.
Yep.
And you say Android, like a lot of people, it's gotten better with Android being more prominent, but, if Android doesn't want it either, you're screwed. Your game doesn't get to be on mobile. And they are the gatekeepers.
Yep.
Steam is a gatekeeper. Valve is a gatekeeper to PC gaming. If you're not on Steam, you'll make a fifth of the revenue. I'm pulling that number out very quickly as an estimate, but probably about a fifth of what you could make if you just could be on Steam and other places. Cut Steam out, you're screwed. And right now it's great. Valve tends to not be incredibly heavy-handed on what they allow and not allow on the platform in that way, for good or bad. But that could always change. That's always been my fear of, like, with Valve being such a monopoly in that space.
Right. Just the same thing with Microsoft. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I have positive impressions of Phil Spencer and Microsoft right now, Microsoft games specifically. But once they've bought everything, if in 5 years that changes completely and they're just, Bobby Kotick 2.0, like,
who says that Phil Spencer's even there in 5 years?
Yeah,
10
that
years.
too.
10 years.
That's what I mean. Like, if that person's gone, and they will be gone eventually, they'll want to move on and do something else in their lives.
Yeah.
Then the next person moves in. If it's like Bobby Kotick 2.0, like, fuck, well, now that person owns everything.
Yeah. And they start changing the rules and want the things differently and start strong-arming things and
exactly
do pretty harsh business reality. I mean, that's totally possible. Microsoft has done it before with games. So they've always had this cycle. They're very pro on games now. Give it a decade. I doubt they will be. Have some failures in there and watch them just start jettisoning studios that they are just like, and by jettisoning, just shutting them down.
And then just hoarding the IP and not doing anything with it.
Pretty much. Which we're back into what Activision and EA do. So,
well, like, okay.
I mean, it's true. They already do that. Like, Microsoft already does that. They have Shadowrun and BattleTech. Like, they own those properties.
But there's no way they can do anything with. Okay, so you're an entity, and you have a limited amount of time and focus, and you have 10 times the amount of IP than you can actually do something with.
Yeah.
Something's going to be dormant.
Yep, most of it's going to be dormant.
Yeah, most of it, exactly.
The only reason there's I bring Shadowrun and Battletech, Harebrained making theirs, they just worked with Microsoft to license it because Microsoft was never going to do anything. Who knows what the deal was to let them, how much they have to pay Microsoft to use that property now.
Right.
But they had to, and I also have known historically that there was a long time with the people in charge at Microsoft where they're like, oh, if you want to use that IP, it can't be on any competitor's platforms.
Yeah.
That was a long-running thing until probably the last 5 years, 6 years, where then oh, we can put it on PlayStation if we want to. We can put it on mobile phones and things like that. But before that, they're like, no, if you want to use, I'll use Shadowrun as an example, it has to be PC and Xbox, and that's it. Nothing else. Yeah. Right. Which makes it not a viable property to make a game for. There's just not enough money in it. So, yeah. And again, that's just because different people were in charge at Microsoft at the time. And that's going to happen
again.
And that's going to happen again.
Yep.
And I go back to Valve. That's always my fear of Valve. Gabe Newell's going to retire at some point.
Stay in New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a house there. He's back in Seattle now.
Yeah.
And he had to confirm that he wasn't moving the company to New Zealand. He's like, no. But he might move back there. I mean, he's a permanent resident of New Zealand now as well. So he can be any place that he would like to be now. But there's a part of me that's like, he owns at least 50% of Valve. I don't know if the person he started Valve with still owns their 50%. They left a long time ago, but I don't know if they sold, if he was able to buy out their ownership of Valve, or if they just have they own 50% but don't deal with the business at all. Just get a payout whenever.
Right.
But either way, Gabe Newell's in charge of Valve. One person in charge. He'll either retire or die at some point, and someone else will have to be in charge, and different decisions will start being made. And that's always a worry whenever you have big monopolies like this.
Yep. They're
nice now, as you said, doesn't mean that the next person coming in will be nice and play nice. Yep. So,
yeah, that's fair. And there's so much, I don't know, unknown, some negative, some positive rolled into this, but all I can focus on is Bobby Kotick is going to lose his fucking job. And I'm just I'm short-term ecstatic about this, and long-term trepidation.
So whenever they get bought and Kotick's out, do we both get to buy Diablo 2?
I already committed to it. As soon
that we can play.
Yeah, when it was Brack and Kotick, when they're gone, I'm buying Diablo 2. Same thing when I said that Kotick's gone by the end of October, or I'm going to put $100 to charity. He wasn't gone. I put my $100 out. I'm buying the game. I don't care if I get it on Game Pass. I committed to it. I'm going to buy this fucking thing because it's going to be a fucking celebration for me to spend that money.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
What a saga.
$400 billion couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But welcome to the way that this stuff gets dealt with in our late-stage capitalistic.
Exactly. It's late-stage capitalism. The guy already had more money than he could ever do anything with. I guess this is not anything more. It is more, literally, but it doesn't change his outlook.
I don't think it changes what he does, basically. No. It doesn't change his life. His life was already super rich. He can count himself as a billionaire now, probably. Because I think his net worth was $700 million, so this will kick him into the billionaire club. Cool.
Yay.
Buy another couple houses.
Yep.
Buy a space yacht. I don't know.
Space yacht.
Seems like what all billionaires want to do is go into space now.
Yeah,
so
get in a big penis and go shoot into space. Exactly.
Yeah.
If I were rich, I would. What if I possibly could do it? The Foo Fighters would be playing at my fucking house. That's what I would do.
There you go.
That's about
Pretty
it.
Sure
By
you
the way,
get that taken care of with a lot less than $1 billion.
Yes, for sure. But I mean, they would definitely do it for $1 billion. Fraggle Rock came back on Apple TV. I know you don't. I don't think. But
I do not.
Foo Fighters are in there somewhere in one of the episodes, and I'm so excited.
That's cool. I don't have a huge nostalgia for Fraggle Rock, so.
Oh my god, I
didn't watch it.
Oh my god, I watched it all the time, and then we watched this first episode yesterday, and I was just like overcome with nostalgia. I was like, I haven't experienced anything that has given me this much nostalgia. Wow, crazy.
No, I just, for whatever reason, as a kid, that was not something I watched. So
it's hilarious. It's so good. And my daughter loved it. So
I mean, it's Jim Henson. So
yeah,
thumbs up. Is the new one still Jim Henson?
Yes. Yeah. Lisa Henson. Okay. Lisa Henson's in charge. So
cool. Glad it has stayed with them.
In terms of what we've been playing, I've been playing Skyward Sword, so just more of that. As always, I'm frustrated by the controls in a Zelda game when you're trying to spin in a circle. Like I'm trying to dance around Girahim in the first battle, and I can't keep centered on him. And I just had such a hard time getting the camera to focus on him. I'd stop and spin the camera to face him, and then I'd get whacked. So I had to like really. It was fighting the controls a lot in that battle, which sometimes happened in Wind Waker as well. So that's annoying. And then today I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I did, on the map, there's the blue little mysteries or whatever. One mystery I stumbled upon was a grove of mushrooms that I ate, and then I had a hallucination challenge where I had to follow these seals on land into these different doorways.
Right. I know what you're talking about. I did some of those.
It was weird. I was like, okay, well, I'm all right. This is what this game is. This game is just like plunge into the woods and find something fucking weird. But there's no coherence to any of it.
No.
For me. So, and I don't know if they like put Cassandra into this because they're like people liked Odyssey better than Valhalla or what, but I guess Cassandra's in there somewhere. So, yeah. That's all I played this week.
Well, I've continued 14. I am leveling Reaper now.
And what does Reaper do?
It's a melee DPS, so it's has giant scythe basically.
Oh, okay.
But it's melee, physical melee DPS, so you're right up next to the enemy and doing big scythe attacks at them, and it has a bunch of rotational combos that you build up and summon like this, like ghosts, basically aberration of death Reaper looking thing, to do like big burst damage. It looks really cool. Of all the melee DPS, I've played them all up to a certain level, like 30, 35, just to get a feel for them. Reaper was one that came with Endwalker, and it was like, you can tell it's a class that was designed later. Like they built this whole thing from the ground up. It's just like, it feels so much better than the other melee DPS.
Nice.
Just very responsive, like the way the combos work together. Just, you're like, oh, this is a really good thing, and this is what happens after you spend a decade iterating on your game and making a new class, a new job. So
right.
So I'm just trying to get that one to 90. I'm at 87 right now. Probably by mid this week I'll have it to 90. And then the last main goal I had in 14 is I have one more category of job, which is magical ranged DPS. And I want to get one of those jobs to 90. And that's like Black Mage, Red Mage, Summoner. Those are the three that you can get to 90. Blue Mage is there, but it's a joke. It literally is a joke class.
That game made it.
Yeah, you can't. It's even called limited job. It can't go to 90. It can only go to 50. And it has skills that like blow yourself up and things like that. It's literally a joke.
That's cool.
So I have to pick one of those. I don't like Black Mage. It's a much more in the game. It's like you spend a lot of time needing to plan out and stand in one spot to cast big spells. And I like to be able to move around. So it's either going to be Red Mage or Summoner. I'll figure it out though. But I continue doing that and having a great time. I weirdly on my iPad, I posted in our Discord, there's the podcast talking about Final Fantasy Tactics, and they're doing it kind of as a book club. So I loaded up War of the Lions on iPad that my in-laws gave me, which is still an older iPad. They were getting rid of it. But it was still like many years ahead of my old iPad. So it runs War of the Lions just fine. So I owned it already, and so I put it on there, and I've playing through the first chapter of Final Fantasy Tactics, which I haven't done forever.
How's it feel on the touchscreen?
Oh, fine. The last time I had played it, I played it on old iPad 2.
Okay.
And I got used to it really fast. Is it perfect? I enjoy the controller probably more, but it's very playable on the touchscreen, because I mean, a lot of the game is just touching grid squares, characters, and moving to places. So only traversing menus is a little bit tedious using the touchscreen, but it's still probably the best way to play it right now, unless you can go out and find a PSP and War of the Lions.
Well, I think you can play on a Vita, can't you?
I mean, yeah, theoretically you could have it on the Vita as well, if you want to go hunt one of those down. But if you have an iPad or an iPhone or an Android tablet, you could just play it there. So, which is why I think it's probably coming to Switch at some point. I'll be honest. Like, they've already done the work to make it work on mobile hardware, so the Switch is close. So I'm expecting, it's the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy Tactics this year, that it will be ported to Switch this year.
Right.
It would make sense with how they're doing like the pixel remasters and things like that they would celebrate the games that came out 25 years ago.
It fits into my list of why not.
Yeah, basically. But it's still a great game. I love that game so much. Beyond that, not a whole lot. Weirdly played a little Astroneer live on Switch and on PC with our new update and everything out there. That's been fun.
How's it play on Switch?
Fine. Plays as good as any other console, I will say.
Cool. Oh, good.
Which isn't the best. I think it plays better on PC. It was clearly a game that was designed for a keyboard and mouse originally, and has been made to work with gamepads. And there's some solutions to make it work with gamepad, but it's not a game that was ever thought of with gamepad first. So,
yeah, I'm not sure. God, like, has any game transferred from a keyboard and mouse to a gamepad better than Diablo? Diablo just feels so good on a controller and on a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, they changed the controls so much for controller, and it worked. Yeah. It worked great. Yeah, I think that one stands out as a high point. To the point where I'm like, I just prefer playing it on gamepad.
Yep. I agree. Even though I played it first and forever on keyboard and mouse.
I don't know. It feels a lot more arcadey on the gamepad, which feels great.
I mean, it's just like button mashing. Like it feels better to button mash than to like click.
Yeah,
or hit,
I would agree.
Buttons. Yeah.
But did that and just been tracking our success so far.
Give me physical on Switch. Come on.
That will happen. I think we have some ads running. I saw a picture today. There's been promos for physical copies out at GameStops now.
Okay.
And this is stuff will be done by Gearbox Publishing. So
right.
We just got some pictures and we're like, oh, I guess that's a thing that's happening. Our current Switch US eShop standings are, we are the 6th best-selling download-only game. This was from a couple hours ago. I checked.
That's awesome.
We're the 17th best-selling game in the eShop right now.
That's including ones that are available on
that's everything.
Cartridge. That's cool.
Any game that's available in the eShop, we are number 17. We're above Witcher 3 and
how dare you?
and Super Mario, whatever Bowser Fury one was. We're above those now. We're behind Mortal Kombat, which is actually on sale for $10 right now, but we're only a few spots behind that. Yeah. So it's insane. We're like number 8 best-selling game in the Japan eShop on everything. Like Japan has gone insane with Astroneer since we just released there. Like, they are over it. It is hilarious looking at Twitter right now, seeing the latest Astroneer tweets, and there are a lot of them are in Japanese. So it is
super cool, man.
Crazy. This is a level of success we are not expecting. We expected it to do well, just based on like previous performance on PS4 and things like that. But this is higher than we expected. So
that's cool. You've already like exceeded your expectations after like a week.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Or 2 or whatever it's been.
Yeah, 2.
And you haven't even started selling boxes yet.
No.
So that's cool. I'd love to see what what that looks like. Or even like end of the year.
And hopefully it's going to be crazy. Cool. Yeah.
I hope my daughter gets into it. She's very excited about the suits. So hopefully it extends beyond the suits, but
that's fine if it doesn't. It's fine. I mean, you can just put in creative, and then you can't. She can't die, and you can just dig and create and do whatever the hell you want to do. It's probably the best way to play it for her.
Yep, that's what we did with Minecraft this week. I forgot to say that we played Minecraft for 2 hours, and she was having a ton of fun just fucking in creative mode digging. Like, I didn't know that you could fly, so she all of a sudden was shooting flying. I was like, "What the fuck?" She's like, "I want to get back to the ground." I'm like, how do you? I had to like Google it. Like, how do you fly in Minecraft? Like, okay, just double tap X.
Double tap jump. Yep.
Now she was having such a fun time building stuff. She'll same with the Astroneer. She'll love that as well.
Yeah.
That mode.
I will say in creative mode we have the same thing. Double tap jump, you fly. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now I'm ready.
Same mechanic. Same mechanic there.
Cool. So I was like, what the fuck is happening? That's great though, because you can just do it. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Break the game. Why not?
Yeah, we don't care. That's part of the fun.
Speaking of breaking the game, we did play one other thing, and that was Miles Morales today. She wanted to see what it looked like, so I transferred it from the external to the PS5. Took a while. Then there was an update. Took like 25 minutes. Like, fuck this. Whatever. And then we went in, and somehow it was in one of the missions, the early missions, where you're like battling Rhino. And it's rated T for teen, so I don't want any of the battling. She just wants to swing. So sure. I just want to get to that. So I just say end mission, or exit mission or whatever. And for some reason, and this feels like a bug, I'm not sure what's going on. When you exit mission, you are Miles Morales, like the dude, not the spider person. You're not dressed up like the spider person. You're dressed up like the kid, and you can't do anything. You can't jump. You can't swing. However, you're on top of the tallest building in the fucking city. So I'm just up there in my normal street clothes. I can't jump or swing. I can fall. That's it. And I think that's probably wrong. I think if you exit a mission, you should be in your spider suit and be able to fucking free roam around the city. Because when you go into the menu, it says you're wearing your spider suit. My daughter picked out the spider suit she wanted. And then when you go back to the screen, it's just he's wearing a fucking jacket and his face is just his normal face. And you can't swing or jump or do anything. It's like, what the fuck? Oh, we spent 25 minutes to get into this game so I can show her some swinging with Miles Morales, and we can't swing.
Hey, aren't games fun?
Oh my god, so fun! Like, if you're listening, Insomniac, fix that shit. So yeah, that's like a 2-year-old game at this point or whatever. So that seems like a feature, because I'm sure someone would notice that bug if you exit a mission that you're just your naked dude. Which you are never that guy in those scenarios. You are that guy in cutscenes and a couple of walk around scenes. But not hang on top of a building. Bizarre. But he's not eating mushrooms, so I guess
there you go.
There's that at least. Anything else for the good of the podcast today?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, this was the Palindrome 323. He is at Summerspeak. I am at Prof Plays Games. I did not say that at the beginning because I was so excited about our news. If you like us, rate us on your podcast service of choice, and we will be back next week where I swear to fucking God, we're going to talk about a Nintendo Direct.
Maybe. One's coming.
Maybes.
I guarantee you one's coming. I just don't know if it's this week.
All right, folks. Thanks so much. See you next week.
All right. Later, everyone.